Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Perillo, and you've tuned into another live Star Wars Radar video. Thank you for following me across social. I am keeping it low-key because Jedi is currently napping. It's the mid-evening nap, which is a little overdue. So if I get excited during this video, it's not because I'm trying to be excitable in general. I mean, apart from talking about one of my favorite topics of all time, Star Wars, it's just that I'm hoping she will continue to sleep rather than doing something that I've actually kind of looked forward to. I kind of like doing these little videos with her, though she can, as a 3-year-old is prone to do, steer us slightly off topic. But can you really go off topic if you're talking about Star Wars? Today's specific focus, 3 guesses as to Leia's destiny. This is completely up in the air. Of course, we all know Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away subsequently after filming all of her scenes for The Last Jedi. And like many, I expected that when she was effectively blown out of the bridge, almost towards the beginning of the film, I thought that was it. I was like, okay, this is the way she's making her exit. And then I initially thought, I don't think that was a fitting death for Leia. Not a very noble death. Yes, she was certainly in command at the time, but it just didn't seem right. So I was really kind of relieved that that wasn't, as it turns out, her demise. But I think 3 things have yet to really come to fruition or become what would be known as Leia's legacy. And the first thing, as far as I think what we're going to see play out between now, the end of The Last Jedi, where she's with Rey there on the Falcon, saying, I think we have everything that we need right here. And then potentially the first scene in Episode 9, which I would expect to have happen or play out years into the future. Not just because Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. Disney's also suggested that they're not going to go in and do the CGI thing, which I'm very grateful for, because I don't think they nailed Leia in Rogue One, nor did they nail Tarkin. I just hope they don't go back on saying that they're not going to be bringing Carrie Fisher's likeness back into The Last Jedi. Or, I'm sorry, into Episode 9, the film after The Last Jedi. So one of my guesses, as far as Leia's destiny is concerned, is that she is going to be guiding Rey in her understanding of the Force. Now, I think the best way for this to play out is not a novelization. I would love to see, and I don't think we're also going to see it in a live-action television show, although that would be rather astounding. I would like to see it actually happen in a long-form comic arc. And when I say long-form, like the Princess Leia comic they had, what was it, a couple years ago, I thought was just really missing the mark in terms of story and interest, and I think there's a lot more they could have done for Leia, considering that, I really liked Kanan, really appreciated Lando, Mace Windu, that comic arc was pretty nice as well, Captain Phasma, I enjoyed, and then also Darth Maul, to a lesser degree. So I think a longer story, and basically calling it Leia Organa Solo or whatever title she's going by for that comic arc, maybe even General Leia. Although I don't think that would be appropriate for the arc that I would imagine. I would like to see Leia effectively guide Rey along her journey in terms of understanding the Force. Because I think that would bring a completely different dimension to how we perceive the Force. Even Leia understanding the Force, given that she's been on the kind of the outside of that for the most part, and we've kind of had the idea that she had Force powers, and now we certainly saw it demonstrated at least 2 more times, and then certainly a 3rd time in The Last Jedi. But I think bringing her story forward and helping Rey better understand the Force, I think would be rather fantastic to see, and I think the only way to have that play out would be in a comic arc, and then in each one of the comics, effectively, Leia, conveys a lesson of the Force to Rey, and this could run, maybe for 20 issues or what have you. I just think that would be nice. I think anybody could latch on to that. Comic is very accessible, very visual, and canon more than anything. And I don't think that would be, inappropriate at all. But I would like to see part of Leia's destiny certainly involve guiding Rey, in terms of her understanding of the Force, knowing what Leia may know, and maybe they go back to the texts, who knows. But I'd like to see Leia involved with that, and that being a huge part of her destiny. In terms of another guess as to Leia's destiny, I would say bringing about the ending of the First Order. I don't expect she will bring about the ending, definitively, okay, I was there at the destruction of the First Order and what happened. And by the way, I think for the First Order to fall, it doesn't necessarily mean that Kylo Ren has to fall. Kylo can potentially be redeemed. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Hux is going to be, gone, if he's not gone in between. Phasma, I think, is going to come back. Hux is going to come back. I think they're going to be eliminated here in Episode 9. I question whether or not Kylo will. I don't think he's going to be redeemed, though. I think Kylo is going to effectively go down. I don't think he's flipping back to the light side. I don't think he has it in him. It would seem to be incredibly predictable for him to come back to the light and continue on that way. I think the Skywalker legacy is pretty much going to be gone come Episode 9. So I don't expect Kylo to survive for that very reason. So bringing about the ending, meaning, at the end of The Last Jedi, they were, making, calls out to the Outer Rim. No one responded. People were listening. And I think it's going to take time for them to respond, but I think we're going to see a slightly more beefed up resistance, or at least I would hope a slightly more beefed up resistance by Episode 9, if only because the legacy of Luke Skywalker is alive and well, as we saw in the epilogue of Episode 8, where the stable children there on Canto Bight were effectively, or Cantonia? Sorry, Canto Bight was the casino. Cantonia is the name of the planet. I'm sorry, I'm tripping up all my gadgets and gizmos here. Hang on, let me refer to the visual dictionary. They have the planet at the beginning. So many amazing looking aliens on Canto Bight. Yeah, Cantonica, right there, Cantonica. I think that with more systems rallying behind the idea or the legend of Luke Skywalker, is still having even Luke's death in question. How could you prove Luke was gone? See, that's the thing you got to start thinking about. We don't know we know he's gone. The audience knows. Rey knows, or Rey feels that. Leia feels that. Maybe other Jedi feel it. But, the universe, or the galaxy at large, doesn't. And I think the Resistance is going to play up on that, as well they should. I mean, fighting for the cause. But Luke Skywalker's shadow will loom over that. It looms specifically over the First Order. But for Leia to effectively, bring that fall about, she's leveraging her name. She said, "Use my personal code." I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing, but she's using her name to bring people in. The legend kind of spreads, and Leia kind of helps fuel that. So I think that's going to be a part of her legacy as well, bringing about not just the foundation, or I guess rediscovering what the Resistance is, the rebellion is, but effectively bringing the galaxy together. Again, independent of a Resistance, independent of a First Order, but letting them feel this fellowship and this belonging that they didn't feel otherwise. And not just to see the rise of a new republic, in some kind of a governmental order, but really this fellowship that I think the stage has been set for, specifically in how Episode 8 played out. Seeing it for the third time yesterday, these are some of the themes that, I kept spinning in my head, and I think that the time is right for this fellowship beyond, what we have known in terms of scope of how structures, social structures work. The stage is set for Leia to effectively bring in, a new kind of fellowship or a belonging, this feeling of belonging, independent of destroying that which would squelch it. And then in terms of Leia's destiny, in terms of her death, this is something that I'm sure we're going to debate, for eons. I would not like to see that happen in episode 9. I don't think it's going to... Episode 9 is going to begin with Leia's funeral, right? I think she may be referred to, but if anything in the comic arc, in my head, right? Not to say this is the way it's going to play out, but, what is a death that is suitable for Leia as a character? I'm not sure I felt Han's death was suitable. It was radical for his arc, because going from what we knew as a selfish individual to a selfless individual, I thought was fantastic. Seeing Luke progress and effectively come full circle, I thought was also a natural progression of his character. And I think for Leia, it would be peace. And a peaceful death would be a death of natural causes, or effectively, old age, so to speak. So I would like to see or hear about Leia's death as natural. Not, specifically at the hand of somebody else, and not in some other kind of incident. I think peace would ultimately be serving Leia as a character well, because that's what she fought for, peace. And so to see her, effectively pass in a peaceful capacity, I think would also be, I think it would be nice to at least learn about or to hear about. I don't know how they're going to play that in an artful capacity. In episode 9, the last of the sequel trilogy, but we can hope for the best. Seeing some comments here during the live broadcast, and let me hang on just a second. Fellowship of the Ring, Star Wars Edition, yes. Somewhat like that. Someone mentions Luke's ending was frustrating. I don't think so at all. I don't want to dive too deeply into that particular topic today. We can at a future date. But I felt that he gave himself to the Force, and he gave the galaxy what it needed, something to effectively believe in and rally behind, and to effectively do his best to rescue the galaxy, as it were, and do it in such a way that he takes a very Luke Skywalker approach. Luke did not want to destroy his father, he wanted to bring him to the light. He didn't want to destroy Kylo Ren, and he felt, you may remember during that particular flashback, the third of the three, he felt guilty. He felt shame for, effectively, feeling that he should destroy Kylo. So Luke, needed to go peacefully as well, but he needed to do it in such a fashion where he was giving the galaxy something to rally behind. So that's pretty much what I had to say about Leia. We can disagree about other things all we want. Just as soon as the thing trips off, I trip it on again. My wife, Diana, did not get this figure for me. I had it before. This is number 50, this Praetorian Guard, or this particular sculpt of the Praetorian Guard, 6-inch variety. I like the design of the Praetorian Guard, or at least a couple of them. This is one of my favorite helmet sculpts, and even though I'm not a huge fan of the 6-inch scale, Diana actually liked the Praetorian Guard. She must have liked the fight scene, even though I didn't imagine that she would. It was fun to see. Always is fun to see. That was the moment, though, our daughter Jedi was asleep. So, as I thrust him out. Look at that. I thrust him out in such a fashion. It looks like he's flying right there. Some people have equated these the designs of the arms to lobsters. Well, they needed to be, certainly flexible and apparently able to, keep them protected from, lightsabers that had been ignited. So let's go ahead and stand you up. Are you going to stand up, dude? There we go. Get this popped out. This particular weapon. And once he is has assumed the position, that's the position he's going to assume indefinitely. Theoretically, can I? Wow. Okay, his fist almost looks completely closed off there. How am I going to get that in there? Oh, man. I don't mind the tightness of the hand, necessarily. If I can get it in there. There we go. Okay, got it in there. He's in. It's in. There we go. We got a Praetorian Guard ready to fight. Pretty much the only difference between the Praetorian Guards in terms of sculpt or design is the helmet. And this one seems to be, to me, to my eyes, seems to be the most natural. It's a bit loose there on the ball joint on the head, but not bad. It took some growing on me, though. This is the one that seems to be the most, in terms of design, the most natural looking for me. Other people like the other designs, but that's me. If you want to learn more about the designs of the Praetorian Guard, my recommendation is, again, pick up the visual dictionary. They talk about having 8 for symmetry, though only 3 designs. I just like figures that don't have human likenesses. Speaking of, yes, 3 3/4 inch for life. That's me. Picked this one up half off. It was like a buy one get one free, or basically they were half off. So this is a Death Trooper. He's got all the ordnance there and all his accessories. So I'm gonna pop this off. I could open up a figure from The Force Awakens, a new figure, and be just as happy. I'm not gonna worry about holding on to the card, obviously. Although for this particular time period, they had the redeem codes for the app that you could unlock, which I never did. This one, to my knowledge, is not radically different from the other Death Trooper, apart from having different accessories and a pauldron. There's a black pauldron there, some ordnance on the side, and of course some larger accessories for extended play. We've got the rifle there, the laser rifle of sorts. We'll put it in his hand and call it a day. No, we will call it a Death Trooper. I would expect to see, before too long... Actually, let me go ahead and grab my other Death Trooper. I would expect to see before too long another style Death Trooper specific to the design that we've seen in Rebels, because Death Troopers show up in Rebels as well. So I'm going to hold the previously released Death Trooper to the newer one in the later waves. So this is the one I just opened, and this is the classic one. You can see the pauldron over here and the lack of pauldron over here. But other than that, they are pretty much the exact same sculpts between the two. One just happens to have more than the other. So I don't know if they're going to be standing side by side. Maybe I'm just going to put this guy up because he just looks a lot more amazing with that pauldron. Oh, yeah. Oh. And then I put these other weapons that are kind of neat. I mean, as a kid, I would have loved them. I kind of put them to the side, because, at some point in the future, I may want to play with them. But these are not canon. These are canon. These are more for, hey, what can we use to sell even more toys? Plus, you can do army building with a variety of troopers. Can't have too many of I should do a whole video talking like a Death Trooper, right? Someone also said, I'm really enjoying Kylo Ren's character, especially since all the originals are basically dead. Some people aren't liking it, and I count me as one who finds it realistic and enjoyable and interesting. I think for Diana, my wife, she's finding Kylo Ren as a character to be far more fascinating than other characters, which again was kind of a surprise to me. But I was very, very happy to hear that. We may have a few more conversations as time goes on, although we tend not to, dive too deeply into Star Wars together. I'd like that to happen, and maybe it will progress that way over time. Certainly we, will have Jedi back, when she's not napping, and then maybe at some point in the future, with a large enough community and interest in a lot of these live videos, maybe even do live call-ins. I enjoy doing these live videos with everybody out there about these particular topics. If you have any other topic to propose in and around Star Wars and or The Last Jedi, happy to talk about it, happy to dive into it. You're more than welcome to join us in our Discord chat room. It's open 24/7. Link is in the video description. It's pretty much Star Wars 24/7. Pretty easy to keep up with, fellow collectors, fellow Star Wars fans. Nothing is effectively off topic so long as you are respectful to others or with others. You are more than welcome to join us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate you following Star Wars Radar across social. I love you. I appreciate you. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.